And welcome to the public meeting of Randwick Local Planning Panel on the 10th of December 2020. My name is Annalise Tour and I'm the chair of the panel. Joining me are Deborah Laidlaw and Oliver Klein as expert members and Mia Chow as the community representative. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. This meeting is being held by public teleconference due to COVID-19 restrictions. And I'm requesting, as the panel chair, that we all are all considerate and respectful of each other and remain on mute until I ask you to speak at the meeting. I also request that none of you interject while another person is speaking. Otherwise, I will have to request that you are no longer part of the teleconference. The panel operates in terms of a code of conduct and operating guidelines, which have been modified to facilitate the effective functioning of the panel during this COVID period. The temporary changes are available on Council's website. The public meeting will be recorded and will be placed on Council's website following the meeting. In terms of the code, general declarations of interest have been provided before the meeting by all panel members, as well as a specific declaration of interest in relation to the matters being considered today. No panel member has declared a conflict of interest in any item on today's agendas. After hearing from the speakers, the public meeting will be closed and the panel will then discuss the matters and make its determination. If more information is required, the panel may decide to defer the decision until a further public meeting or for it to be dealt with electronically. The panel decisions, including its reasons, will be made available on Council's website as soon as possible, usually within 7 days of this meeting. There is to be no other recording of the meeting other than the official audio recording. The panel will now consider the first item on the public agenda, which is development application DA 352-2019 for 10 Blenheim Street, Randwick. And we have two people registered to speak. The first speaker is Councillor Kathy Nielsen. So if you wish to speak now.
Thank you very much, Chair and members of the panel. I just wanted to say that I fully support the officer's recommendation for refusal. I agree with all the recommendations for the reasons that they have given, and also that Councillor Shuri is also of the same opinion. We both totally agree with the recommendation for refusal and the reasons given in the business paper. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And then on behalf of the applicant, we have Charles Thornton.
Yes, how are you? Good afternoon. Thanks for having us.
Good afternoon.
So how would you like to proceed? We just were able to log in on mute on a different device. Would you like us to share our screen right now and go through
Yes, that would be good because I understand you've got a presentation that you wish to make. So if you can share your screen.
Yes, that's it. You guys have given us 3 minutes, but obviously if you want to ask questions, you have to.
Yeah, if you could try and limit your presentation to 3 minutes and then the panel members may have some questions.
Yeah, of course. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, that's fine. Okay,
I've got Katrin here next to me, and we're going to go through just the big picture, and then she might go into the details further down of the presentation. So the first thing we'd like to say about this neighborhood, we just pretty much touched your vision for future for this precinct. And we are seeing quite a lot of activity right across the road, lots of development, university, hospital, and a tram that literally stop in front of our development. We can see the density on that specific side of the street, on the high street side, densifying over time. And obviously, you understand that you guys are careful because it's going to be like first or second to do this, and I understand the hesitation to approve something that's different to what's there today. But we try to comply to your vision and the envelope from the LEP. So starting with the LEP, just to give a bit of background, starts off at 15 meters. Then adding to that, we look at your own DCP for in part E2. And that is the envelope that's being, the volume that's being presented in the DCP. And so it's still within 15 meters. And that here is our development, our proposed development, which is yet inside all of these volumes. So we are proposing a volume with some innovations that is within the envelope and integrated within the existing neighborhood, and obviously not really pushing. We're just fitting within the envelope, as I would say. And that's the future envelopes on that street that you guys have determined in the precinct plan. So I mean, realistically, within 10 to 20 years, you should probably see a density of about this type, with 8 or 10-story buildings across the road, campus, hospitals and campus, and the tram right in front. There was a question about court case that was forcing a developer in your council area to. You guys were asking at 3.1 floor to floor, and we understand why that is. This court case doesn't really apply to us, but we understand that the developer at the time had issues with, I think, downlights and couldn't meet the minimum 2.7 clear as per the ADG. So the issue there was not at 3.1 floor to floor, but rather meeting the 2.7 daylight access in the ADG. So that doesn't apply to our development, but we are able to anyway, with the floor to floor we have is increased. Just to provide more daylight anyway, we're able to at least meet the 2.7 clear, if not more. And we're doing that by having obviously oyster lights, and we're not having downlights because they're not ecological. But we're going to have all sorts of different types of pendants and oysters, and still we have space to put downlight that are skinny, but we're not going to do that. Here's another case that is in your council area that was approved about a few months ago. And it's exactly like ours in a different area. Same issues with mass setback, your ceiling heights. They were approved. Obviously, it's very fresh, but that was before you guys were probably aware of our case. But in this case, it was approved, and it was yeah, we've had the same measures in our development.
I just interrupt you there because your 3 minutes are up, so you presumably need an extension.
Oh, well, that was quick. If that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, we'll just take 1 more minute. So these are the two.
Yeah, okay, I'll allow another minute. Thanks.
These are the details if you guys like to ask questions. Catherine's here next. Happy to answer any questions about the details.
I'll just make a few more comments about some of the other issues that were raised very quickly. So on the slide, you can see the issues raised, so visual privacy as an example. Most of these items have the issue that there is a discrepancy between what the ADG requires and what the Part E2 in the Randwick Education Precinct envelope wants us to do. So you can see the comments that we've made, and they were made throughout the application process. Visual privacy, we are within the envelope and have avoided windows opposite the existing buildings. Solar access, we're compliant with daylight access to living areas and mostly to balconies. Due to the building shape, that's a little bit difficult to get the 70%. The unit mix, we actually did an extensive demographic study for the area and therefore decided to have 60% studios. Landscape space was actually maximised and increased from the current landscaped area. Deep soil is similar. Deep soil has the other issue that we first provided a proposal with on-ground car parking and minimised car parking. However, with the basement car park, you can't have deep soil landscaping. So we maximise it along the edges and at the front to Blenheim as much as we could.
All right, now I think you've had probably closer to 5 minutes. So, and also I didn't have you down as a speaker, so sorry, what is your name and who's actually speaking?
Oh, sorry, I introduced
Catherine Finger from Collett Maxwell Architects.
Okay. So, is there more in your presentation, or is it more that the panel members ask you questions?
That's it. Where we go if you have a question.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll just open it up to the panel members if they've got any questions. I can't actually see anyone, so because maybe you need to unshare your screen.
That's right.
All right.
Okay. Do that. There you go.
Thank you. Any questions from the panel members?
Not from me, thanks.
All right, well, I'll just start. You mentioned before that you are confident that you will be able to achieve the 2.7 with the minimum slab, et cetera. Did you want to just expand on that? Because the experience based on other applications is that you need a floor-to-floor of 3.10 to achieve it. So just why would it be different in your application?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. The reason for that, and we have several, we can show you some real building we've built that meets the requirement. And the way we do that is with a post tension slab of 200 mil. You both acoustics and the ceiling right below that. You don't need more than 220, and that's it. So a floor to floor of 3 meters can work with proper pendant light, and I can prove that to you. And the detail that we've shown is from a different project already built. Now I understand why 3.1. The 3.1 is because if you develop lights, you have bulkheads, and those bulkheads are a problem, which forces you to raise the floor to floor. But bulkheads are not popular anymore. So, but that's they're not ecological. We're trying to avoid them, and we have different ways to light up the space that is, better. So I understand the resistance, and I'm not fighting it. I just know where you're coming from. But 2.95, I've done 2,900 floor to floor and still met a 2.7 clear. It's a risk to the developer. Obviously, if you guys condition that must have 2.7, and the developer doesn't meet that, he has to demolish. So you never get OC. So that's very risk, but we're confident because I've done it before.
And then did you want to just expand on the parking, the shortfall with the parking and your logic behind that?
Sure. So car parking, there's the different parts to it. We've got the residential area. So first of all, the big picture really is that we're very close to everything. The light rail has been built right outside the building, and there is a new stop pretty close. The units are also in. The intention is that with smaller units, you'd assume that there's a high need for people from the university and the hospital to take them up, which means that most of these people will probably not have a car or use car share services. So we've included a car share space.
Can I add to that, Catherine? Is that we recognize that because the LPI, your own LPI, is proposing that for future, which is instead of having a car park minimum, you have a no car park policy like the CBD. It's not been approved yet, but that's the vision that the council has already obviously came to the same conclusion. So obviously, we'd rather not have a basement car park and just use fully the tram. And if you guys want to give us an option tomorrow, you get the new drawings, obviously. But I understand you got two sets of rules. You got a vision that says no car spaces. And you got a current DCP that says minimum space, please put them in. So we kind of, I don't mean to butt in, Catherine, but you're about to say, like, we just kind of limiting our use at the ground level. So we're not going to have a car park intensive type of use as a result. It'll mostly be health support users that don't have that many customers coming in. And we've listed a couple under the statement of effect, compatible users to those car park spaces. Also, you have a go-get letter, don't you?
Yeah. And our traffic consultant has used the RMS numbers for car parking, which seem appropriate in sort of close to the inner centre of Randwick situation. And if you use the RMS values for car parking, we actually do comply.
All right, any other questions from panel members?
I have one.
Yes, Oliver?
Was one of the key issues with the design is the fifth level or the fifth floor. Was it ever contemplated to delete that 5th floor and go with a 4-story development as per the DCP?
Yeah, we looked at that. The floor to floor will be so big to meet the 15 meters DCP that it wouldn't make sense to do it. It's not economical either, but that's not any concern. So what we did instead is took the 4th level and set it back in a way, the habitable roof form. We set it back in a way that you hardly see it from the street. And once your neighbors are built, it's not noticeable. It is not noticeable. You won't see it. So it is a roof space that's from the level, below and coming into the attic pretty much. Now, whatever a roof is meant to look like, and then we've been different designs been asked to do gable roof, all sorts of things, and people have a very set, vision of what a roof is meant to look like, not necessarily architecturally, but so we're trying to do something that's different. We articulate in a way that's definitely going to be a roof space, but it's very subjective to each one of is a roof going to look like.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, well, that's all the speakers that we had registered for that item, and that's the only item we have on the public meeting agenda. So I will now close the public meeting, and the panel will now move to its session where it deliberates and makes its decision. And as I've said, that decision and our reasons for our decision will be put onto the council's website as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.